Hey, y'all, it's Dr. Know What I'll coming to you early on November 20th. A shout out to my brother. It's his birthday. Also, I am working on a cold, as you'll be able to hear. So apologies for my voice, but Scott and I were, I don't know, we saw a very cool post that we are going to share that left Scott speechless, according to you. So there we go. So welcome back, Scott.
Welcome back into my normal studio. So it's been a little while.
So very nice.
Sunday had a great Wednesday.
They definitely did. But I think, so we'll start with this post here, which is pretty cool. Let me blow it up just a little bit so folks can read it better. But yeah, Shi Young, I always butcher everybody's name, so I feel really bad. But anyway, he said that as they were developing this robot, that your video from back in May, so very, very cool. Yeah, I don't know. What do you want to say? So you left me speechless, which is hard to do. I like that.
Yeah, I was. And the last thing I was expecting is getting a shout out from Sunday Robotics. Because like I say, they were having quite an outstanding Wednesday that maybe started out a bit slow because there was, let's say, a certain hype about the reveal that was coming. And so there was a short, really well-produced, almost like an ad for it, that left most people like, oh, it's just like all of them. They're just these selected video clips. It's not anything. And then the long clip came out. And then when the long clip came out, I mean, everyone's jaw dropped because suddenly you were seeing the long horizon and everything it was doing. And to know that I had like anything to do with the design decisions,
which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And what's nice is it gave me an opportunity to have a little bit of a dialogue with, I don't know if it's she or shy, about some of the things that they've done. And it turns out he designed also the base, and the reason why he designed the base is he's formerly of Matic, and Matic is probably the ones that made the first automated vacuum cleaner that's actually worth purchasing and using. So it's like, oh, it's got a pretty good pedigree. And
actually, that's a good call out to them. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it up here and at the end of this. But the Matic vacuum is excellent. And really interestingly enough, the first thing I thought when I saw this was, oh, this looks exactly like a Matic vacuum, like extended out into sort of human form. So I want to talk, we definitely want to focus on this Sunday on Act 1 here.
Yes.
But I think
now the first thing we can do, is this AI or is this CGI?
Yeah.
And everyone at first thought that, including my own family.
Really
believe it at first.
interesting.
And I had to, it's just like, no, this is an actual video and an actual thing that, I know enough people what's going on. They're not trying to pull a fast one on me and anyone else. And that's what's impressive.
Right. It is. But I also like the mind on robot using the G1 body was a very, very it was a very popular video. And again, if you haven't seen that, I'll leave that at the end as well. But this is part of a larger grouping that we actually started to talk about in our last video together. And that is the sort of good enough robot with a really good brain. And here we can see this robot is clearly not, it's not walking because it doesn't have legs. It doesn't have 22 DOF hands, but it's good enough. And it does a lot of really good tasks. You can see they have 3 things. They do ultra long horizon tasks like stacking a dishwasher, zero shot generalization, which is really, really cool, and then advanced dexterity. And this it says it was trained with 0 robot data, which is really interesting.
That
is quite the twist. So
that quite it is. And you can go ahead and play this and we'll give everyone a little bit of the history of Sunday Robotics. So you wonder, like, who are these guys? Where did they come out from absolutely out of nowhere? It's like they're actually a very well-known quantity, because I'm thinking it's a little over 2 years ago that we saw the Aloha project. So basically, the Aloha project was a bunch of Stanford grad students that sort of shocked the world with how easy it was to start training robots to do tasks that were way more complex than you thought with a very small amount of real world data. Not like thousands of examples, but literally like 100 or less, and you're already getting 80% accuracy. And not only were they able to do the really short, but they were just using some off-the-shelf hardware with a really crappy end effector. And with just a 2-finger gripper, they were able to do things like zipper a jacket, tie a shoelace, do a bunch of tasks that you would have thought was not possible. So it changed the mindset 2 ways. One, my goodness, we can actually make these bots seem to be really being intelligent, doing something. The hardware doesn't have to be that sophisticated. And it means that the solution to dexterity is more about intelligence than it is mechanics. That you can have a really good hand, but without the intelligence to go with it, it's going to be completely useless. So you can have an adequate hand and be able to perform a lot.
Right.
The other thing was they learned a lot about how to capture data.
Yeah, that is really big. And the Stanford robot, the Aloha robot, almost is like a, it's not an exoskeleton because it's much more primitive.
Well, it was basically two off-the-shelf telerobotic arms that you could buy. I think it might even be $6 arms. So they were pretty inexpensive. They order like maybe $5,000 to $7,000 an arm. And then they also had the arms that you could use was kind of used like an exoskeleton the same way. So it was this idea of a leader follower kind of situation where you would move one arm and the joint values and the encoders from that would go straight to the other. And the operator was there very locally watching what was going on. I'm sure it was tedious trying to gather the data. Right. In this case, they've got a very clever solution.
A quick shout out to my channel sponsor, Joa. They make the best accessories for your Tesla and other EVs and have amazing warranties and customer service too. I use their accessories daily. Check the link in the description and get 5% off a fan-cooled phone charger, a portable tire inflator, a fold-out lap table, and so much more. Oh, and they make perfect gifts for your EV-loving friends too. So check out the link to get 5% off, and now let's get back to it. So this is what I was talking about. It's the Aloha robot, very primitive, and also you kind of like stood inside of it ish, and manipulated it. So yeah, that's how you would train it to do what it needed to do. So, so very, very cool. So yeah, we can get back to this again. But yeah, so continue on here.
Yeah, now they're showing the diversity of showing new environments that it had not seen before, so that it was confident enough that it could go in a new environment and be able to also perform the task just as well. Now, the thing about it is the design aesthetic is kind of great. Everyone might think like, are those eyes cameras? Like, no, they're not cameras. Why is it wearing a hat? Well, it turns out underneath the brim of the hat is the actual camera is there that they're using that allows them to get out a little bit. So that's actually, there's a reason for the brim. The data capture is really interesting because you'd look at that hand, you'd say, well, that must be very difficult. But even then, with a really good human-like hand, there are not good tele-op systems to be able to get the haptic feedback and the control that you would like to have. So everyone is like really fighting over that. And they took what is probably the simplest approach. They made a glove, which is like almost mechanically identical to it. With all the exact same sensors and everything. And so one of them is the robot hand, and the other one is what a human operator will slip on, and the human operator will then perform all these tasks. And so it's got the camera built in there, absolutely everything. So it's more or less like, well, just make the human, the robot arm, just slip something on so they effectively have it and get all the data with there. And at the same time, they're wearing a camera to get sort of the robot's eye view of what's going on. And they're able to do, the mappings that are necessary. So it's not that important that a person has to be of a certain stature or size, something like that. It's a low cost solution compared to many of the others. It's not something you can just go and buy it at Best Buy, and have anyone go ahead and get it. You probably still have to ship it to them, but it wouldn't cost a lot. And my understanding is they have maybe 200 people scattered around the country that are using things to help gather the data.
Interestingly enough, this is literally this coffee maker is my coffee maker. So I was actually drinking the coffee, watching this video, going like, wait a second, I just used that, and it's very cool to see.
You didn't do a spit take when you saw that?
Exactly, I should have done a spit take for it. I was like,
now you need to go out and get your ski gloves, because someone showed a ski glove that's almost exactly the same. Because normally you have a ski glove that's a mitt with just a thumb, but there's also the split one. And so what you should do is put that on and see how difficult it is for you to make your coffee.
So I wanted to make a note about this, because in terms of dexterity, I broke my finger, this finger, when I was in 8th grade when we were doing typing class, and I had a whole arm cast on. And I'm sure many other people have had,
what kind of typewriter was that? I mean, you broke your finger.
It was no, I didn't break it on the typewriter. I broke it trying to play football. But anyway, but you learn how to manipulate objects, to pick up clothes, to type, to do whatever you need to with a relatively rudimentary hand if you need to. And I'm sure anybody else who's ever injured their hand or their arm or something like that, or has any kind of disability or anything, that you can go pretty far with a relatively
you can compensate
hand. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what the bot is doing.
And that was my call out in the Rodney Brooks article where he showed how important touch sensing was, and this idea of that experiment that was done of showing a woman lighting a match and then anesthetizing her hand and showing how difficult it was for her to do it. And the conclusion was, without touch sensing, you can't do anything. It was like, well, wait a minute, she still lit the match. And that was after like only a couple of minutes in her entire lifetime of lighting matches normally. She eventually figured it out. And so you could imagine, given enough time, a person could compensate for it, that they may not be able to be at the same level that they had before, but they can be a lot closer. So we should not discount the fact that you can have a hand that is less human-like and still accomplish a lot. And again, Aloha already proved that.
Yeah, exactly. Because they had, their hand was much more primitive than this hand, and they were able to do quite a bit of. And by the way, the socks at the end of this video are very impressive.
That's what blew me away. Is that the first thing about what they were showing at the beginning there is that long horizon, and that was like a very, very long task that a lot of robots are really bad at it. So they're very good at a simple task that's repetitive, but they're showing from a single camera that whole task going on back and forth and having to do a variety of different things and do them correctly. And that was amazing, as well as the persistent attempts to do something, because when it went in to get the soap capsule, I have a hard time doing that too. I don't always get time. And it took a little bit longer than I did.
It's like fishing.
It's wearing ski gloves, so it's having a hard time, but eventually it gets the right sensation of what it needs. It knows it has it, goes over to puts it. And the one thing I kind of wonder is that I think I have a dishwasher exactly like that. Right. And that start button is like the hardest button to push. First to find.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not very easy to get. And then you're never sure, is it really on or not? So I wonder how they get that feedback. Now, some of these things have Wi-Fi capabilities, but again, you can't trust that all of them are going to have it. You go into every single Airbnb, they're going to have a slightly different dishwasher. So it'll be interesting to know how it can say, oh, it's a Bosch or it's a Whirlpool. They're going to behave a little bit differently to make sure you do it, as well as some of them have 3 racks where someone goes in and decides to put the silverware tray, which side is that going to go on, the left side, the front, and all that. So these are going to be very interesting in how you adapt to environments that are a little bit different, but still.
Well, and I also wonder, they don't note that it has audio input capability, but that would be of important, because number one, you want to be able to talk to it, but number two, we have a Bosch, and the only feedback you get when you press the start button that it's actually functioning is a beep. And then, of course, when you close it, there's a little red light on the ground, but you have to close it to get it to do that. So,
there's that little light. You can kind of feel it. It seems like I've depressed it, and I'll have to think about mine whether there's a little light on there or not. But it does like this beep beep, and I don't even know what the beeps mean, because it seems like it's always singing to you, and you're not sure exactly what it is. Is 2 beeps good or 1 beep good? I'm not sure.
So you just wait until you can, and then they're very quiet because they're German. So they're just
you wait to hear the pump, and you sit over there, it's like, oh, I hear the water running.
Exactly. So they're the modern dishwashers are not like the same as the old ones where you took the knob and you would twist it and shove it in, and it would start make so much noise. So anyway, but you can see the long horizon task, and then this of course is multitudinous different. They have not trained on these different scenarios. So the bot is able to manipulate objects similar, right? It's picking up silverware, but it's all in different environments. So this is very impressive as well.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think of the base and everything?
Well, like I said, the first thing I thought was it was a Matic. so it makes sense that would, because, this is where we get to the good enough robot, because clearly this robot is not going to go up and down stairs, couldn't even go on the front porch to wave at you because there's a little bump, unless it can handle like little bumps and stuff, over your front door threshold. So it's got limitations, but either in the home or in the factory, most of the things that it's working on are going to be flat floors, right? For the most part. And within that use case, it's highly useful. And this would actually function as a vacuum cleaner because, of course, it should be able to pick up a vacuum and, you know, a battery operated or
I'm almost wondering, it's like, should they just build one in? You know, as it's going around, just go ahead and vacuum at the same time. But
it'd be multitasking, always vacuuming. So there you go. I like that.
So again, you can see that the pedigree there, that it's kind of related to the Matic.
Right.
I do like the form of it. It doesn't look like it's going to bump into and break and damage things. So the nice rounded corners, it looks very soft. You can see it's omnidirectional, but it's not using omnidirectional wheels. My understanding is it's using activated casters, and that they're well aware, because of the Matic experience, of the fact that even flat floors aren't always flat. You have carpets, you have a little door jam and stuff like that. That the wheel size and everything and the activation of it is enough that they can handle going over carpets and small things. So there's like at least a 1-inch clearance on it, which will probably be enough to be able to do, you know, certainly one level. It won't be able to go upstairs, but if you happen to be lucky and have like an elevator in your house, you might actually be able to use that to get up there. And then all it needs to do is know how to push buttons. And if it can operate a dishwasher, I'm pretty sure it can figure out how to operate a home elevator that would be able to go and do second floors. So and then the other thing is the idea of having kind of the lift to get it up very high and down there is, and we're seeing a lot of other bots taking the same approach, either doing something like that or going ahead and having kind of like this little scissor that will open up and come down. The scissors look like really great, kind of an elegant solution, because they can do two things. The thing is they can also allow you to kind of lean forward.
Right.
But you see, they already built in an actuator for that, and you need the same number of actuators to do it either way. But this one here might be better, because the problem with the scissor is you get kind of that elbow that can get in the way. You're going to have a back or somewhere here.
Exactly.
Whereas this seems to keep it in a really nice space, and they've got the torso leaning in there enough that when it needs to reach, it does it pretty well. So
and
it's just minimalist as far as the degrees of freedom that you need everywhere. That they didn't put more in than you need. Looks very soft. The IP rating seems to be in the 60s for intrusion protection or ingress protection that they have on the arms and the hands, which means it can get splashed, probably even put its hand underneath running water.
Right.
You don't. The pinch points do not seem to be bad. I
was noticing that in the elbows and stuff, that there's really no pinch points there, because it's very compliant.
It's just designed. So I would feel comfortable having that in the house around me.
Right. The one thing I was looking for in this video was to see if there's any I can tell. So that is, oh no, there's carpeting over there, but I don't think it actually interacts with that carpeting. So, I don't know.
It's possible.
It should be able to handle that. But, and obviously the base must be fairly heavily weighted, because as the bot leans forward, there's a lot of
it doesn't. Now I was surprised at the weight of the bot. It's about, do you have any idea how heavy it is?
I did not see that. I didn't.
Okay. See, the thing with all these companies, just go to their website and you'll be surprised how much information you'll find there. So it weighs 170 pounds. So a lot of it must be in the base. It was more than I expected, because looking at everything else, I thought, man, it might almost be like a Neo class as far as weight. But it turns out it's about the same as all the other humanoid bots that are out there.
Right.
So a lot of it is probably batteries down the base. It has like a 4-hour runtime. And there's probably I'm sure that they made sure all the actuators and stuff they would get down there to get everything as low as possible to keep it from being tippy.
You would want, if somebody came along and not purposefully, but kind of bumped into it in the bad direction, like the forward direction, that it wouldn't just go boop.
I'd like to see exactly. I don't know if there's like a tipping standard or how you measure something like that, but how much force you would need. Obviously, when it's down low like this, it's not a problem. It's only when it's up very, very high that you would have that fulcrum, that moment arm that will allow you to be able to push it on over. I mean, this is impressive. That
it's really impressive.
Just being able to do that fold in like that. I cannot believe you can do that with those hands.
Exactly.
So when you see these tasks, you change your initial impression. You go, oh, there's no way you can do anything with that hand. It's just there's no way you have that dexterity. And then you realize, wow. And they can get out of the way. And it seems to be quite useful in being able to grab things, move them around. I'm not sure exactly what the payload is, but it's really quite adequate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it does say force sensitive here, so clearly they've got it's right
Yes,
underneath the plate.
they need.
But anyway,
They
you can
need
see
it.
that there. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And that's the advantage of having the gloves that the human is using, is it's getting exactly the same touch data, which is why they were able to do it without the robot. So all they had is these hands basically floating in space. And from that, they were able to say, so in order to get the hands in this position,
there's a little camera on its thumb, right?
Yes.
Right next to its thumb.
Yes.
So it's able to see very, very clearly what it's manipulating,
right.
which is a huge advantage.
Right. Now, the operator is wearing a cap of some sort that has a camera on it. And so you can use that as the initial guess of where the robot's body should be.
Right.
But then you probably do some adaptation to say that, well, the robot and the person aren't quite the same. So their arm link's a little bit different. Then they do a little bit of a transformation. And from that, they get the full body control. So one of the things they were showing with the dishwasher when that was going up there, it wasn't like statically there and having the arm move it up there. Everything was moving. The base is moving. The lift was going up and down, the arms all at the same time to do that. So, great full body control.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see, back again, rewind. So are there any moments that you want to call out in particular here? Because the long horizon task, you kind of have to look. I didn't have time to do this, but I wanted to actually, because a lot of this is 10x, and I wanted to pull it into a video editor and then 10x slow it down to see. I have a feeling, because I know exactly how fast my Matic operates
I think it's like 1 meter per second is what they said is the run speed. They did say something that, and this is probably the improvement, is that the humans were only able to teach the task at about I think maybe 60% of normal human speed. So obviously wearing the gloves impairs you and slows you down a little bit. And then it sounded like that even from that data, the bot might have been another 60 to 80% slower than that. So there would be a lot of places to be able to improve it on the data capture.
So let me ask you a question, because the reason why most the humanoid robots with legs are so slow is because, of course, the actuators and everything, it takes a lot of time for it to manipulate its legs. This has wheels. So why do you think that this is operate? You think it's the brain that can only operate at a certain number of?
Oh, no, I'm sure it can go faster if they wanted to, but it might be that's what they limit it. And part of it is like, a lot of AMRs, I think, can go maybe up to 2 meters per second, but they're usually limited to 1.2 on factory floor settings. And they might be saying in the home, even 1.2 is a bit fast. This is more. So I'm sure they could go faster.
Okay.
And it looks like they have 6 casters. So one of the engineering drawings that you're able to see on their website shows sort of like 3 in the front, 3 in the back. And if they're doing that, then it probably means they might have like some active suspension, which would be really good. That's one way of getting yourself out over door jams is I don't see why you would need to have 6 wheels, except that what you might do is lift one of them up as you try to get over something else and pop that down to make sure you get the stability. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure they thought, and that could be a lot of the reason for the mass is that they're really making sure it's not just flat surfaces, but we can handle some uneven surfaces as well.
Yeah, so this is the glove where they're actually showing this.
Yes.
Now the interesting thing is, have they talked about how they're going to release this? Because one interesting thing that they could do is they could actually sell the glove with the robot to allow you to teach it how to do it. So
I imagine that might be. So they've already distributed. They call this, I think, their skill glove, and they call the people who do this was it memory something? They were called MDs,
memory developers, right there.
Memory developers. Okay, so if you want to be, so it's interesting. The idea is that they're doing data capture, and they're called memory developers. And so they at least 200 people around the country have that have been able to train it.
Right.
They have a beta program.
Actually, it says 2,000, so it's an order of
Oh,
magnitude.
is it 2,000 now?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I got my zeros wrong somewhere. So that's a pretty significant number.
Right.
They have
but
a
the
beta
cool part
program.
is that means, I was going to say that means people can participate. You can just get these gloves.
You can probably participate now.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also
let us know. Sunday Robotics, let us know. Let us know how to do that. We'll put it in the comments. So
So they have a beta program that they'll start shipping at the end of 2026.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a select group, but it'll probably be pretty small. I think they said somewhere on the website might be like 50 people or something like that. So it's kind of like winning the lottery at this point to go out there and start doing those deployments. The interesting thing they said is that they mentioned about how they use Airbnbs to be able to get the diverse data sets and moving around. And this is something we've sort of talked about before, and that I think the smart way of doing it is you hire a bunch of interns to collect data on certain things. You tell them what they have to do, and you offer them lodging as part of the internship. And the thing is they have to move like every 3 days. Right. So they live there for 3 days. They go through, they capture as much data as possible, and then they move on to somewhere else, somewhere else. And I it just seems that you could tie that in with Airbnb, or Airbnb should, because I'm sure there's a lot of Airbnbs that are unoccupied for certain times of the year or months or days of the week. It's like, people only want to use it. And it's like, they can start filling those places up just by coming up with some sort of program as an incentive, or a coupon that comes along with the hand that you get it out there. You get a discount from Airbnb so long as you use it for a couple. I could see a variety of ways that using these kind of limited timeshare areas, data could be collected really quickly, because you'll get the diverse data sets.
Or the alternative would be to have a rental program to some extent. Like, okay, so let's say, Scott, you're like, I'll get the glove and the cap camera in my house, and I'll keep it there for a week, and then they provide me a drop shipping thing, and so it goes back to them and then back to another person, so that everybody gets it for a week, right? And that way
that's the other way.
So that you could do that as well.
I mean, there's two ways of doing it. One is that you just keep on sending it to people all over the country in different environments, and they get it like you share it. And the other is that you have these experts, these MDs, and they have to get into different data sets. And if they don't mind, basically going to a different house all the time, if their lifestyle is like such that they don't have any other attachments like that prevents them from having to be in the same location, you could get that as you wander around. So it would be more of a migrant kind of lifestyle, but probably within at least the same geographic area. It's not like you have to go across country, unless for some reason there's something about the Airbnbs in California that are going to be very different about the ones that are in mid-country.
Right. Well, I would think even things like lighting and stuff that you don't normally think about.
Lighting might be different. Yes, local ordinances. The kind of the taste of what people have around there, how the kitchens look like. And then you go somewhere else and go, oh, wait a minute, these kitchens are now very, very different, the arrangements. So we need to go in and test them there.
Well, and I was thinking about like Alaska versus Florida at this time of year. The lighting is going to be highly different between the two of them. It's going to be dark outside all the time in Alaska.
Some places where colder, they might want to have carpets because it feels warmer. Also, homes that are going to be very drafty in the wintertime, you're going to have more door jams, or you're not going to have such an open kind of floor plan. So you may not realize the variety that you have with geographic disparities.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that when I go up to, well, I mean, you just got back from Michigan, and the whole, I don't know, houses just look different. They look a little more, in my mind, hunkered down up in the north because it's cold. So they're more, so the houses are just a little different form factor. And if the
amount of glass you have is going to be different too.
And the thing of, we don't know, basically this can't go up and down stairs. So it has the same limitation as a robot vacuum does, or autonomous vacuum, because I know you don't have, but anyway, whether it's a robot or autonomous, but it can't go up and down stairs. So if you want to have your vacuum the upstairs or the basement, you have to physically carry it there. You're not going to do that at 175 pounds.
Yes. It'll be more difficult. So you would need, an elevator that would allow you to get up to upper floors.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's always a limitation when you don't have legs, but that again is going to be, the main floor is where most of the stuff happens. The laundry room for most people, and the kitchen, and the dining room, and the living room, and so those areas, like that's what it would be really, really good at handling. So and go ahead.
Yeah, and so again, this thing comes in different colors already. So we've seen at least 3 different colors. So there's probably at least 3 bots. I think it was like Image showing at least 3 of them. So we know that they've built a couple, and there's nothing to prevent them from eventually producing a legged bot if necessary.
Yeah, so exactly.
What's important, like we've talked about, is the good enough, is getting it out there, actually in the wild, collecting data, and then you can worry about the perfection part later. So and they did this, I think, in 18 months. So Tony Chow, who is one of the co-founders, he left his program, his PhD program, and there's actually a lot of PhDs out there that halfway through are sort of leaving to do startups because they're realizing that the opportunity to get into space is now, not to wait until they're done. And looking at the work that they've already done, they should have just already handed him a PhD when he left.
Exactly.
I think you did, because the overall definition of a PhD in many ways is that you contribute to knowledge. You actually add something that's a benefit. Right. And the Aloha project accomplished that in spades. I mean, there was no doubt about it. Everyone, it's a seminal paper. Everyone goes back to it, is looking at it. It changed the way everyone thinks about the world. At that point, if Stanford doesn't give them an honorary doctorate, man, there should be a bunch of other schools that do.
Right, exactly.
John, maybe you could recommend your
UGA will come in there and
exactly.
By the way, it looks like there are 6 different colors that I can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can make it match your house. So including like white, which would be fairly neutral, so it wouldn't could match everything. But so it's cute. It's got an appeal factor going for it, which Aloha definitely did not. It looked like some sort of creepy legged robot
exactly
thing, but
exactly.
And again, the good enough. So the broader picture, quick. I know you've got to go fairly shortly, but I think the broader picture here is, again, this sort of adds on to our discussion from last time, which is, what is the right strategy? Is the right strategy what Figure and Tesla are doing, which is create the full robot that does everything, or are we talking more about like what Agility? They're kind of the OG good enough robot, right? They have the weird, creepy backwards legs, and then they have like the little fist arms, and that's been out there doing work in the factory for quite a while now.
At least
the question, the question is, which is the correct strategy at this point? Is it getting something really close to perfect and putting it out there, or is it getting something that's good enough to collect data and bootstrap yourself? Like, what do you? Or both strategies viable?
Well, it's a lot of them. As I've said before, robots won't go in the home until they're safe. So it doesn't matter about anything else. But what they managed to do is come up with a robot that seems to be reasonably safe already. Now, there may be some exceptions, limitations that when they go through the beta program, they may be looking like, well, we don't want anyone with toddlers or small pets or something like that. Extra safeguard. But overall, it seems like it's bringing the idea of Optimus or Figure into the home is going to be a challenge. Brett's able to do it and stuff like that, but they've got a whole bunch of people around there making sure it's done right. But from the general purpose standpoint, you probably don't want to do that yet. And they've managed to come up with a way that seems like it will be safe enough to make that first leap. And that's what is really impressive, is you got to get it out there to get the diversity of data, to start learning what's going on and prove it. The interesting thing is that EVANNEX started out with a wheeled bot, Eve, and it quickly shifted to bipedal, and that's what they want to put in there. And so in some ways, they may have slowed themselves down a little bit by taking that. And the question is, like, was that a gamble that's worthwhile? And we'll find out, because they also have this early adopter program that's going to be starting early in 2026. And Tangible also announced yesterday, the bot that they've been working on. Yesterday was crazy because there must have been another 3 or 4 companies that kind of came out of stealth. So it's a very difficult space to sort of keep up on. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these, a lot more than people are aware of that are going on. So 2026 will start to become, I think, pretty exciting as we start seeing real world deployments.
And it's really interesting how many of these companies have shifted from factory only to like, hey, we're going to put these in the house. I think there's been a general recognition of something that we called out a long time ago, which is the diversity of data. Actually, Barrett was he was always adamant about this. The fact that they're sending people into Airbnbs is a very good indication of that. They literally want to see as many different houses as they possibly can at the same time. So and the data collection is great. I think people are going to be price sensitive too. There will be a group of people who will be like, I don't care if it's $100,000, just ship it to me. But that's the very, very bleeding edge on the S curve, early adopters. As soon as you move past those people, price is very important, because you don't want to spend $40,000 on a robot that does relatively few things, where that's the cost of a car. It's like, I want a car instead, so I'll just buy a vacuum cleaner.
So some people will spend $100,000 for something that's just an accoutrement that doesn't do anything. Just like, oh, look, I have it over here and it does one thing and it doesn't do it that well. Most people are going to expect capability. So capability, I think, is very important, and people won't buy it if it's not capable.
Yeah.
So again, like with the automated vacuum cleaners,
yeah,
the prices of those have come down, but the capabilities are so bad that a lot of people are like,
exactly.
You know, it has to be good. For some people, what it does is good enough, which is why they're willing to buy it. But in the end, it comes down to safety. So you can have the capability, you can have the cost, and you have the safety.
And again, it's why something like the Matic is honestly the first robot vacuum that I've been like, oh, this actually works. All the other ones I bought, and I bought a lot over the years. They're just like, they kind of sort of work, and
they kind of do. And there's certain people that do find them useful, and that it does enough of kind of keeping the house, the floors sort of tidy, and they're willing to do the 20% it can't do. You know, all the edging and stuff like that. So. And you know, maybe some people are just fastidious. Yeah, I've got pets, and at least it gets the bulk of that, so I'm not always having to clean that up.
Right.
But with the realization that it's not doing all the work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But most people are going to like, I expect it to do everything. You know, not 80%, 90%, really all of it. Right. That's why it's going to be interesting to see with Matic is, you know, whether I think they've gone beyond the 80% threshold and probably getting partly because their form factor. They're square shaped, which means they can actually get into corners properly.
Right. Well, and the fact that they have an actuator on the front vacuum that allows it to move up and down, and the large wheels, which is a very different. So you can feel the inheritance of that in this robot.
Yes.
And even though we didn't see it move up and down over carpeting, I imagine that it's probably got a clearance of an inch or two, so it can like.
Yeah. They said there's a clearance of an inch. Their shag carpets might be rather interesting. Maybe not as much a problem for them. Your shag carpets is not good for vacuums in general because the brushes gets caught in there. Exactly. They may be able to negotiate over them, but we'll see.
We've got a fairly deep pile. We've got a deep pile carpet ourselves, and it works fine. So I think this one, you know, price point wise, I think people will be sensitive to the price on this because they might say, if I can get a Neo for, I think it's 20,000, right? That's a legged robot. I wouldn't pay more than 10 for this one or something, but still, you know. I don't know. I don't think they can make money on this originally at $10,000, but I think at volume, this is probably pretty reasonable for 10 grand.
And
it probably can do a lot. So very interesting. So anyway, the next year, like you said, 2026 is going to be fascinating because it's going to start to prove out, is the go for it, try to make a really, really perfect robot and then put it out, or is it going to be put out a good enough robot and then go for it? And maybe it just depends on the company, because Tesla they've got so deep pockets that they can do the other. They can make it perfect first because they don't need to put it out in the market. So I can tell you got to go.
I got to go. Time to go.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott, for sharing with us this morning. Everybody drop some comments. Let us know what you think about all this, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye now.